Imagine that right now, the universe simply stops. The steam rising from your coffee freezes into a jagged sculpture.
A bird outside your window is suspended in midair, a motionless silhouette against a silent sky. Every person on Earth becomes a statue, caught in the middle of a breath.
But you can still move. You are the only thing left in a world without a clock.
But here's the terrifying truth. If time actually froze, you wouldn't just be lonely. Within seconds, you would be blind, deaf, and essentially erased from reality.
Welcome to Deep Science Explained. We treat time as a background, a stage upon which we live our lives. We wish for more of it, we try to save it, but we never stop to ask what time actually is in the framework of physics explained. If time were to suddenly freeze, you wouldn't be a superhero in a quiet world. You would be a ghost in a frozen prison of light and air. By the end of this video, you will understand the deep, counterintuitive connection between time and the fundamental forces of the universe. We are going to explore the Photon Wall, the nightmare of absolute zero, and why the very act of walking through a frozen world would require you to break the laws of quantum mechanics. This is a journey that connects your daily routine to the most mind-bending cosmic mystery we've ever uncovered. If you stayed in a world where time didn't exist, you'd realize that now is the only thing keeping you alive. Here's where it gets even stranger. In every movie you've seen where time freezes, the hero walks around in a perfectly lit world. But science tells a much darker story. Light, the photons that allow you to see, travels at 299,792,458 meters per second. But if time stops, those photons stop. Imagine the air in front of you is filled with billions of tiny, glowing bullets. Usually, they hit your eyes in a continuous stream, allowing your brain to render an image. But in a frozen world, those bullets are stationary. To see anything, you would have to physically walk into them, scooping up the light with your retinas. But here's the part nobody tells you. As you move, you would only see a thin, distorted slice of what's directly in front of you. And because you were the only one moving, you would quickly exhaust the local supply of light. You would be walking into a literal wall of darkness. Did you know that if you turned your head, you wouldn't see anything at all? To see the side of a building, you would have to physically move your eyes to where the light from that building is parked. You aren't just in a quiet world. You are in a world where information has been cut off at the source. But here's where it gets crazy. If the light is frozen, so is the air. We usually move through the atmosphere as if it's nothing, but that's only because the molecules of nitrogen and oxygen are vibrating and moving out of our way. If time stops, the kinetic energy of those molecules vanishes. The air becomes a solid, unyielding block. Moving through it would be like trying to swim through a vat of hardened concrete. You wouldn't be able to lift your hand to scratch your nose, let alone walk down the street. But this is the part where everything breaks. Breathing. To breathe, your diaphragm creates a vacuum to pull air into your lungs. But the air is frozen. It won't flow. You would be surrounded by an infinite supply of oxygen that you simply cannot touch. What if you tried to force your way through it? Every step you took would generate friction against the frozen molecules. Because time isn't moving to dissipate that energy, you would be creating localized pockets of extreme heat, essentially setting the air on fire with every twitch of your finger. This is the part of deep science that touches on the fundamental nature of heat. In our world, heat is just the movement of atoms. The faster they move, the hotter they are. If time stops, all atomic motion stops. This means the temperature of the entire universe, except for you, instantly drops to absolute zero. This isn't just cold. This is a state where the very concept of energy disappears. Because you are still active, you would be a warm-blooded organism in a world that is minus 273.15 degrees Celsius. Your body heat would be sucked out of you at a rate that defies imagination. You wouldn't have minutes, you would have milliseconds before your cells shattered from the cold. But here's where it gets even deeper. In the world of quantum mechanics, absolute zero creates strange states of matter, like Bose-Einstein condensates. The objects around you might start behaving like single giant waves instead of solid matter. You might reach out to touch a frozen door handle only to find your hand passing through it like a ghost. This is the science explained that reveals how fragile our sense of solid really is.
But here's the part nobody tells you: the sound. We live in a world of constant noise, the hum of the fridge, the wind, the distant traffic. Sound is just a pressure wave traveling through a medium.
In a frozen world, those waves stop. The silence wouldn't just be quiet, it would be physical. It would be a total sensory vacuum. Because your eardrums rely on the movement of air to detect sound, you would be profoundly, permanently deaf. But even stranger is what happens inside your own body. We think of our heartbeats and our thoughts as us, but they are actually biological processes that require time to function. If you are the only one moving, your internal clock is the only one ticking. You would be the only source of entropy in a static universe. How would your life change if you were the only thing in existence that was capable of change? This is the cosmic mystery of the arrow of time. Without the rest of the universe to provide a frame of reference, would you even know you are moving at all? Or would you feel like a stationary point in a rushing, frozen river? But this is where everything turns into a mind-bending science lesson. If time is frozen, how do you ever restart it? In the world of Einstein's relativity, time and space are woven together into a single fabric, space-time. To stop time in one location while letting it run in another, specifically inside your body, would require a massive gravitational distortion. You would essentially have to be living inside a bubble of normal space-time, surrounded by a horizon where time is infinitely dilated. But this is the part that breaks your brain. If you were to step out of your bubble to touch the frozen world, you wouldn't be entering a quiet street. You would be crossing an event horizon. The energy required to maintain that bubble would be enough to collapse the entire planet into a black hole. So, here is the reveal. The mystery we've been exploring isn't about a superpower. It's about the coherence of reality. We think of ourselves as individuals, but Deep Science Explained reveals that we are actually nodes in a massive, interconnected network of energy and information. You cannot be without the rest of the universe happening. Time isn't something you move through. Time is the collective vibration of everything that exists. If time froze for the universe but not for you, you wouldn't be a god. You would be a corruption in the data. The universe's laws of physics, explained, would act like an immune system, trying to resolve the paradox of your existence. This gives us a goosebumps moment of cosmic perspective. We often feel overwhelmed by the fast pace of modern life. But that pace, that constant movement of light, air, and heat, is the only thing that makes you possible. You are a symphony that requires every other instrument in the cosmos to be playing at the same time. You aren't just a person on a planet. You are a momentary ripple in a 13.8 billion-year-old stream. The fact that time doesn't stop is the ultimate miracle. Time freezing is a nightmare of physics, but it teaches us that we are deeply, inextricably connected to the vacuum. It reminds us that now is a shared experience. And if you think a world without time is terrifying, wait until you see what happens when time doesn't stop, but begins to flow backward. Tell me in the comments, which part of this video broke your brain the most? Was it the idea of the photon wall or the reality of absolute zero? I read every single comment, and your reactions are what keeps this channel's internal clock ticking. Make sure to subscribe to Deep Science Explained to keep your eyes open to the scale of the world. The clock is ticking. Let's make it count.